Most people who want more abundance in their lives look in the wrong place. They focus on what they do, their work, their habits, their decisions. But Jewish wisdom, refined over 3,000 years, points to something different, something most people never consider. Not what you do with your hands, what you do with your mouth. The Talmud, in Tractate Erechon, makes a statement so striking that rabbis have been studying it for nearly 2,000 years. Speaking evil of another person is equal in severity to murder, idolatry, and sexual immorality combined. And the Jerusalem Talmud goes further. It says this one sin is worse than all three cardinal sins together. That is not a minor warning. That is the most serious language Jewish law uses about any human behavior. And yet, the rabbis also say something even more sobering. This is the sin most commonly violated even by observant Jews. It is in almost every conversation, every family gathering, every office, every home, including yours, including mine. Today, we are going to look at exactly what this sin is, why Jewish wisdom says it blocks abundance, and what the ancient sages prescribed to remove it from your life. Welcome. What you are about to learn is one of the most powerful and most challenging teachings in all of Jewish ethical wisdom. A concept so central to Jewish life that it appears in the Torah, the Talmud, the Zohar, and in a book written in 1873 that Jewish people still study every single day. By the end of this video, you will understand not just what this sin is, but why Jewish tradition connects it directly to the flow of blessing, prosperity, and peace in a person's life. Before we go further, subscribe right now. Every week, this channel goes deeper into the practical wisdom of the Jewish people, teachings that have guided one of the most resilient communities in human history. One tap. And let's begin. The sin has a name. In Hebrew, Lashon Hara, literally translated, the evil tongue. And here's the first thing that surprises almost everyone who encounters this teaching. Lashon Hara does not refer to lying. Lying is a separate sin, called Motzi Shem Ra, and it is indeed forbidden. But Lashon Hara refers to something far more common, far more subtle, far more present in everyday life. It refers to speaking negatively about another person, even when what you are saying is completely true. If it is true and harmful, it is Lashon Hara. If it is false and harmful, it is even worse. Jewish law places enormous weight on this distinction, because true negative statements are actually more damaging than false ones. When something negative said about you is false, you can defend yourself, you can provide evidence, you can say, that is not true. But when something negative said about you is true, you have no defense. The damage lands completely. This is why Psalm 34 says, "Who is the person who desires life and loves days of seeing good? Guard your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit." Guard your tongue, not your hands, not your feet, not your eyes, your tongue. Because the tongue, according to Jewish wisdom, is the most powerful organ in the human body. Proverbs 18:21 states it simply, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Now, why does Lashon Hara block blessing? The Talmud's answer is found in one of the most striking passages in all of rabbinic literature. The Jerusalem Talmud, in Tractate Pia, states, "There are four things that a person pays for in this world and continues to pay for in the next: idolatry, sexual transgressions, and bloodshed. But evil speech is equivalent to them all." Four sins, three of the most severe in all of Jewish law, and evil speech equal to all three combined. Why? The rabbis give a precise explanation. The greatest positive act a human being can perform, according to Jewish tradition, is Torah study. And Torah study is performed through words alone, through the mouth and the mind. If words can be the vehicle for the greatest act of creation, then words can also be the vehicle for the greatest act of destruction. The Chofetz Chaim, the great Polish rabbi who dedicated his entire life to the study of speech ethics, wrote in 1873 a book that Jewish people still study today, daily, 2 laws at a time, specifically about the laws of Lashon Hara. He warned, "The harm done by speech is worse than the harm done by stealing or by cheating someone financially, because amends can be made for monetary harm, but the harm done by speech can never fully be repaired." And then he told a story. Part 3. The Story of the Feathers. A man went about his community telling malicious things about his rabbi. Later, he realized what he had done. He felt deep remorse. He went to the rabbi and begged his forgiveness, saying he would do anything to make it right. The rabbi thought for a moment. Then he said, "Take a feather pillow, go to the top of the hill above the town, cut it open, and scatter all the feathers to the wind." The man thought this was strange, but it was simple enough. He did it. When he returned, he told the rabbi he had done it. The rabbi looked at him and said, "Now, go and gather the feathers." The man stared. "But Rabbi, the feathers are everywhere. They have blown across the entire town. I cannot possibly gather them all." The rabbi nodded. "And so it is with your words. They have gone everywhere, into every home, into every conversation, and you cannot gather them back." This story has been told in Jewish communities for generations, because it captures something the rabbis understood that modern psychology has only recently confirmed. Once a word leaves your mouth, it is no longer yours. It lives in the mind of everyone who heard it. It shapes how they see the person you spoke about. It spreads, quietly, invisibly, far beyond where you intended it to go. And it cannot be unsaid. What we are describing here is not a religious rule invented to make life difficult. It is a precise understanding of how words work and what they do to the energy of your relationships, your household, and your life. If this teaching is landing for you, hit the like button right now, 1 second. It helps more people find these teachings. And subscribe, because what comes next reveals what the ancient rabbis said happens to the blessing in your life when Lashon Hara is present, and exactly what they prescribe to begin removing it. Now, let us address the question directly. Why does Jewish wisdom say that Lashon Hara blocks abundance and blessing? The answer comes from one of the most dramatic examples in all of Jewish history. The Talmud teaches that the destruction of the Second Temple, the greatest catastrophe in Jewish history, was caused not by military weakness, not by political failure, not by famine or disease, but by Lashon Hara, by the sin of Jews speaking evil about one another. And from this, the rabbis drew a universal principle. When speech in a community, or in a home, is filled with negative talk about others, the flow of divine blessing to that place diminishes. Not as a punishment in the simple sense, but as a natural consequence. A home where people speak negatively about their neighbors, their colleagues, their family members, is a home where trust erodes, where relationships weaken, where the energy that could be directed toward building and growing is constantly spent managing the fallout of broken trust. The Chofetz Chaim wrote, "When a person guards their tongue, they guard their life. When a person opens their mouth carelessly, they invite destruction." And the Talmud, in Tractate Arachin, notes, "The armies of King Ahab were successful in battle, even though they worshipped idols, because they did not have the sin of Lashon Hara among them." Read that again. An army of idol worshippers succeeded in battle, because they did not speak evil of one another. The rabbis are making a specific claim. The absence of Lashon Hara creates the conditions for success, even when other factors should work against it. The presence of Lashon Hara blocks blessing, even when other factors should work in your favor. Now, what did ancient Jewish wisdom actually prescribe to guard against this sin? 3 specific practices. The first, daily awareness. The Chofetz Chaim, and the entire tradition of Shmiras HaLashon, guarding the tongue, recommends studying 2 laws of speech ethics every single day. Not reading an entire book, just 2 laws. 2 small reminders every morning that the tongue requires discipline. The second, the pause. The Talmud notes that God gave human beings 2 gates protecting the tongue, the teeth and the lips. The sages understood this as a message. Before speaking, especially about another person, close those gates. Ask one question. Is what I am about to say true, necessary, and kind? If it fails any of those 3 tests, keep the gates closed. The third, replacing negative speech with its opposite. Rabbi Aaron, the brother of Moses, was known throughout Jewish tradition as the great lover of peace. The Mishnah says he would go out and find 2 people who had quarreled and tell each one privately that the other had expressed regret. He would introduce peace by speaking well of people instead of poorly. The Talmud asks, why were Jewish people chosen to receive the Torah? And gives this answer. Because they were willing to be held to a higher standard, even in the most ordinary moments of daily life, including especially the words they spoke about one another. One sin. found in every conversation, in every family, in every community. Not lying, not stealing, not any dramatic act of wrongdoing. Just words, true words, said carelessly, about another person. The Talmud compares it to murder because of what it does to its victims and to its speakers. The story of the feathers captures what cannot be undone once words leave the mouth. And the history of the temple's destruction tells us what happens to a community, to a home, to a life, when this sin is allowed to spread unchecked. What strikes me most about this teaching is not its severity. It is its hope. Because unlike broken vessels or scattered sparks, the tongue can be trained. Every conversation is a new opportunity. Every moment of silence, chosen deliberately, is a small act of blessing. And every word spoken with care about another human being is, according to Jewish wisdom, a door opened for abundance to enter. Before you go, I want to ask you something honest. Think about the last conversation you had about someone who was not in the room. Was what you said true, necessary, and kind? You do not need to answer me. Just sit with the question. And if this video moved something in you, write in the comments. I'm going to guard my tongue. That is all. 3 words. I read every single comment, and the conversations in this community are some of the most honest I have ever been part of. If this video gave you something, hit the like button right now. It helps more people find these teachings. And subscribe, because next week we are revealing another ancient Jewish wisdom that has been quietly shaping the most prosperous and peaceful households for thousands of years. One that most people have never connected to abundance before. One tap to subscribe. Thank you for being here. Shalom.